This is DYLAN2020 videos here. And today I am going to show the top 7 Caillou band episodes that were not introduced to PBS Kids. Let's start. Sorry, it's on history behind GBA.
Caillou is grumpy and jealous that no one is paying attention to him, thinking they only care about Rosie now. He goes to his room, sits on his bed, and then throws his ragdoll onto the floor in anger, wanting nothing to do with it anymore. Later, a jealous Caillou walks sadly into Rosie's room where Caillou's daddy and Rosie are in a rocking chair. When daddy asked Caillou if he'd like to rock the baby, Caillou responds with a huge no. Daddy gets up and sets Rosie on a changing table so he can get a diaper from the linen closet. Meanwhile, Caillou scoots a chair over to the changing table and climbs onto it. Caillou grabs Rosie and kisses her, and for a second it looks like he is making up with her. Ellipsis. Until he suddenly grabs Rosie's cheek. Daddy hears the loud shrieks and sees Caillou holding Rosie down, his hand still on Rosie's cheek. He scoops up the bawling infant and cradles her until she stops crying. Caillou's daddy asked why he did that. Caillou told him he didn't like Rosie because she didn't play with him. Caillou's daddy tells Caillou that voiceover off. Comes over. He wants to play in the sandbox, too. Caillou plays with him. When Jim pushes Caillou's sandcastle down, Caillou gets angry. Then, Jim takes up too much room in the sandbox, making Caillou even angrier. He runs and tells Grandpa about what happened. Caillou's grandpa tells Caillou he should swing on the swing so Jim won't bother him. Jim's mother is mad at Jim for getting into trouble, but likes Grandpa's idea. Caillou and Jim go on the swings and Jim wants Caillou to push him first. But Caillou doesn't want to. Jim won't let him go on the swings. Then Caillou decides to go on the slide but Jim ran and was about to go first. Having had enough, Caillou tells Jim he doesn't want to play with him anymore and runs to his grandpa, crying. When Jim's mother and Caillou's grandpa hear Caillou crying, his grandfather comforts him. Confused, Jim tells his mother that he doesn't know why Caillou won't play with him. Caillou angrily and tearfully says Jim always wants to be first at everything. Jim's mother scolds her son telling him that he has to take turns when he plays with other kids. Jim apologizes to Caillou, and they start to get along better and become friends. Caillou goes around the block. Wants to go outside for a walk so he tries waking mommy up but she won't wake up so Caillou decides to go on a walk alone. He is a little nervous because it is his first time to go on a walk alone. He walks around for a while and is scared because a dog barks at him. Tells him not to worry because Bella is a nice dog. Caillou tells Sarah he is walking around the block and she tells him the way to get back to his house. Caillou then meets a pretty little girl playing hopscotch. He plays for a while and then continues. Suddenly Caillou is scared but one of his neighbors sees him and gives him a tomato and tells him his house is nearby. Caillou goes back and finds that mommy has woken up. She asks him where he got the tomato and he points to the neighbor's house and tells her he's been all around the block. Mommy is relieved that he is okay and tells him that she should come with him next time he goes for a walk. Voiceover on, voiceover off. Are at the park watching an older boy riding a skateboard. The skateboarder is riding his skateboard and calling some birds stupid. Caillou gets a ride on the skateboard with help from the skateboarder who later goes home and go over to her. Caillou tells her he was riding the skateboard all by himself. Clementine says he didn't and that she saw the skateboarder helping him. Caillou and Leo call her stupid, and Clementine gets upset. When Caillou trips on some blocks and calls them stupid, Rosie learns the word and says it a few times. Hears her and is surprised. She says it's not a very nice word, and then she gets a phone call from Clementine's mum about what happened at the park. Caillou's mum tells Caillou that Rosie has been saying a word that's not very nice and about the call she just got from Clementine's mum. Caillou says that he and Leo were only playing. But Kaylou's mum said that she doesn't think that calling someone the word stupid is a good game to play and said that he hurt Clementine's feelings. Caillou decides to call Clementine and apologize to her. And they make up. The next day at the park, Caillou and Clementine see the skateboarder again. Clementine gets a ride on the skateboard with help from the skateboarder. Voice over for a playdate. Unfortunately for him, Clementine starts going through his stuffed animals and wants to have a tea party. Caillou wants to play with dinosaurs instead. Caillou throws a fit and shouts at Clementine. Unfazed, Clementine suggests the dinosaurs be their children, which makes Caillou cry, and he runs to his mommy, who is a baseball champion, comes over to play catch with them, and they have juice soon after that. Are in the garden and Caillou notices a dead bird on the ground. Caillou asks if it's dead and Dad affirms. He suggests burying it and Caillou agrees. They bury the bird and Caillou asks Dad why the bird died. Dad says that it's a tough question, then states that the bird probably died because it was too old. Caillou accepts this, but seems troubled as he had always wanted to be older, but now is scared of getting older because he might get. Throughout his day, Caillou hears a number of people comment about how old they are. Dad has trouble reading the paper and comments that he must need glasses because he's getting old. Can eat with a spoon by herself, a sign she is growing up, and when Daddy is tucking Caillou into bed that night, he says that Caillou is getting bigger and older every day. Caillou then shouts that he doesn't want to get older, confusing his parents, who ask why. He explains his concern about the bird, while also revising what he'd heard about age that day. Dad tells him that he has lots of time to get bigger and older. So does. Is building with his blocks in the living room. He has made a tower but decides to tear it down and make another one. Caillou finishes making his new building and says that it is the tallest building ever built. A frustrated Caillou yells at Rosie and tells her not to do it again. He then lines his blocks up into 2 rows to make a road. Then Rosie uses her ducky to mess it up. This time Caillou yells at her and tells her to go play with her own toys. Rosie then takes a couple of Caillou's blocks and runs off, giggling, to make Rosie stop bothering him. However, she only tells Caillou to work out his and Rosie's problems. Caillou doesn't seem to like the idea. His mum got angry and then he leaves. He runs away to his room where he is happily reading until Rosie comes in. Caillou tells her to go away, but she won't. In return, Caillou pushes her off his bed and kicks her out of his room, bans her from coming in, and closes the door. Rosie, now throwing a temper tantrum in tears, and bangs on his door with a book. Caillou's mommy then comes up, takes the book from Rosie and says, "Books are for reading, not for hitting." Rosie keeps on crying and wailing. Caillou's mommy knocks on Caillou's door. She asks him if he made Rosie cry and wail by kicking her out of his room. Caillou says number. Caillou's mommy just looks at Rosie as if she can't do anything and takes her to her room for a nap.